I didn't invite my adopted sister to my wedding because she makes everything about her trauma. I, 27F, never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get it out somewhere because my family thinks I'm a monster, and honestly, maybe I am. 2 weeks ago, I got married. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Exactly what my fiancé David, 29M, and I wanted. The problem? I didn't invite my adopted sister Emma, 25F. And now my entire family has basically disowned me. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I know. Who doesn't invite their sister to their wedding? But here's the thing nobody wants to talk about. Emma makes everything about her trauma. Everything. Let me back up. Emma joined our family when I was 14 and she was 12. Her story is heartbreaking. I'm not minimizing that. Her biological parents died in a car accident when she was 8. She spent 4 years bouncing through foster homes where bad things happened. Really bad things. My parents are good people, like genuinely good people. They'd been volunteering at the children's home for years when they met Emma. She was this tiny, scared kid who barely spoke and flinched when adults moved too fast. They decided to adopt her. I was actually excited at first. I'd always wanted a sister. I had all these fantasies about doing each other's hair and sharing clothes and having someone to talk to about everything. The reality was different. Emma had nightmares every single night for the first year. Screaming, crying nightmares that woke up the whole house. She hoarded food in her room until it rotted. She couldn't be touched without having panic attacks. I tried to be understanding. I really did. She'd been through hell. Of course she had issues. But then my 16th birthday happened. I'd planned this party for weeks. Nothing huge. Just like 15 friends coming over to hang out, eat cake, maybe watch a movie. Normal teenage stuff. Emma seemed okay with it beforehand. Quiet, but okay. The day of the party, everything was going fine. My friends were being super nice to Emma, trying to include her. Then around 8 p.m., someone laughed a little too loud at something, and Emma just snapped. She started hyperventilating, shaking. She ran upstairs and locked herself in the hall closet. My mom found her 20 minutes later, curled up in a ball, convinced that my friends were going to hurt her. The party was over. Everyone had to leave. Instead of celebrating my birthday, we spent 3 hours coaxing Emma out of the closet. She's still adjusting. My mom kept saying, she'll get better. But she didn't get better. She got worse. Every family dinner became a minefield. Too many voices. Emma had an episode. Someone laughed too loudly. Episode. Dad got excited about work and raised his voice slightly. Episode. I started feeling like I was walking on eggshells in my own house. We all did. Movie nights got canceled because Emma couldn't handle the suspense in Disney movies. Family outings were cut short because Emma got overwhelmed in public. Don't get me wrong. I understood why. Intellectually, I got it. Emma's brain was wired differently because of her trauma. She couldn't help her reactions. But understanding something doesn't make it less frustrating when it's your life getting derailed over and over. The breaking point should have been my high school graduation. I was valedictorian, scholarship to my dream school. This was supposed to be my moment, you know? The ceremony was outdoors, maybe 200 people in the audience. Emma said she felt okay about coming. My parents were so proud of both of us, they made sure to say. Emma for being brave enough to attend a big event, and me for graduating. I gave my speech. It went great. I was walking across the stage when I heard the commotion. Emma was having a full-scale panic attack in the bleachers, like hyperventilating so bad she couldn't breathe. Someone called an ambulance. My graduation ended with my family following an ambulance to the hospital. The photos from that day? All in a hospital waiting room. My mom kept apologizing, but also defending Emma. She tried so hard. She really wanted to be there for you. I smiled and said it was fine. That Emma's health was more important than some ceremony. But inside, I was furious. And then I felt guilty for being furious. Because what kind of person resents someone for having trauma responses they can't control? That pattern became my life. Emma would have an episode during my big moments. My family would rally around her. I would smile and say it was fine. College acceptance celebration. Emma got triggered by all the talk about me leaving her behind. Had to be sedated. My 21st birthday? Emma couldn't handle the restaurant being crowded. We left before ordering. Every single milestone in my life became about managing Emma's emotional state. And the worst part? I started to feel invisible in my own family. Don't get me wrong, my parents love me, but Emma's needs were always more urgent, always more pressing. She was the one in crisis. I was just the stable one who could handle disappointment. Emma's been through so much, became the family motto. Anytime I showed even the slightest frustration, that's what I heard. Emma's been through so much. Emma needs our support. Emma's healing is a process. What about my process? What about my needs? But I couldn't say that without sounding like a heartless bitch who complains about a trauma survivor getting attention. So I didn't say anything, just kept smiling and saying it was fine, even when it really, really wasn't. College should have been my escape. 4 hours away from home, new friends, clean slate. Nobody knew about Emma or the family drama. For the first semester, it was amazing. I could go to parties without worrying about triggering someone, could celebrate good grades without guilt, could just exist without managing someone else's emotional state. But Emma's abandonment issues went into overdrive when I left. The calls started immediately. Not from Emma directly. She couldn't handle talking to me. From my mom. Emma's having a really hard time with you being gone. Emma's therapist thinks she's regressing because of separation anxiety. Emma had to be hospitalized last night. She kept saying you abandoned her just like everyone else. Every phone call home became an Emma crisis update. My mom would ask how classes were going, then immediately pivot to Emma's latest breakdown. I felt guilty for being away, but also relieved, which made me feel worse. Thanksgiving junior year, I was excited to come home. I'd been dating this guy Jake for a few months. Nothing serious, but I was happy, wanted to tell my family about him. Big mistake. I mentioned Jake at dinner, just casually. Oh, this guy I'm seeing took me to this cool art exhibit. Emma went white, started hyperventilating right there at the table. You're going to leave us for him, she kept saying. Just like everyone leaves. My dad tried to calm her down. My mom started that soothing voice she used during Emma's episodes. I just sat there watching my casual mention of a boyfriend turn into a 3-hour crisis intervention. Emma ended up in the hospital that night. Self-harm. Because I mentioned a guy I was dating. She's just scared of losing you, my mom explained while we sat in the ER waiting room. You're the only sister she's ever had. I wanted to scream. I was her sister, but she'd never been mine. Not really. Sisters don't ruin each other's moments constantly. But I nodded and said I understood. Christmas was worse. I'd made Dean's List that semester. Full scholarship for senior year. I was proud of myself. That's wonderful, honey, my mom said when I told them. Then immediately, maybe don't mention the scholarship thing around Emma. She's been feeling really inadequate lately. Don't mention my academic success to avoid triggering my sister. Sure, fine, whatever. I started editing myself constantly when I was home. Couldn't talk about college friends, made Emma feel left out. Couldn't mention future plans, triggered her abandonment fears. Couldn't share good news, made her feel like a failure. My family visits became performances where I pretended my life was smaller than it was. Jake broke up with me that spring, said I was emotionally unavailable, and never talked about my family. How could I explain that talking about my family meant explaining Emma? And explaining Emma meant explaining why I couldn't have nice things without someone having a breakdown? Senior year, I got an internship at this amazing marketing firm in the city. Dream opportunity, could lead to a full-time job after graduation. I called home excited to share the news. Oh honey, that's great, my mom said. But Emma's going through a really rough patch right now. Her therapist thinks she's having an identity crisis about what she wants to do with her life. Maybe don't bring up the internship this weekend? I hung up without saying goodbye. Didn't visit that weekend. Or the next one. When I finally came home a month later, Emma was in the middle of a depressive episode. Wouldn't get out of bed. My parents were taking turns sitting with her. Where have you been? My mom asked. Emma kept asking when you were coming home. I was busy, I said. Too busy for family? There it was. The guilt trip. Because Emma needed me, and I'd chosen my own life instead. I spent that entire visit tiptoeing around Emma's depression, couldn't watch TV too loud, couldn't cook anything that smelled too strong, it made her nauseous, couldn't have friends over. My childhood bedroom had become a recovery space for someone else's trauma. College graduation was supposed to be different. I was older. Emma was in therapy. Things were supposed to be better. They weren't. The ceremony was outdoors, beautiful spring day. My parents came up the night before. Emma seemed stable, quiet, but stable. I was walking across the stage, finally getting my diploma after 4 years of hard work, when I heard the screaming. Emma was having a full-scale flashback in the audience, something about the crowd, the noise, the attention. She thought she was back in foster care or something. Security came, paramedics came. My entire graduation became about getting Emma to an ambulance. My friends were taking pictures with their families. I was in a hospital waiting room, again. She tried so hard to be there for you, my mom said, still in that soothing voice. She really wanted to celebrate your achievement. My achievement. That got interrupted. By Emma's trauma. Again. I didn't say anything, just nodded. But something broke in me that day. I started dating David a few months later, met him at work. He was kind, stable, normal, had a family that actually functioned. The first time he came home with me for dinner, Emma had one of her episodes. Something triggered her. Maybe David's laugh, maybe the way he gestured with his hands. Who knows? She ran upstairs crying. My parents immediately went into crisis mode. I'm so sorry, my mom whispered to David. Emma's been through a lot. She has trouble with new people. David was understanding, sweet even, said he hoped Emma felt better soon. But later in my childhood bedroom, he asked quietly, "Does this happen a lot?" I didn't know how to answer that. "Define a lot," I said. He looked at me for a long time. "Kate, this isn't normal. She has trauma. She can't help it. I'm not saying she can help it, but you can't live your whole life managing someone else's triggers." That was the first time anyone had said that to me, that I didn't have to live my whole life around Emma's needs. I started crying, not sad crying, relief crying. Someone finally saw what this was doing to me. But then I felt guilty for feeling relieved, because what kind of person gets relief from someone pointing out their sister's trauma responses? David and I got more serious. Emma got worse. Every relationship milestone triggered her abandonment issues. I moved in with David. Emma had to be hospitalized. We got engaged. Emma couldn't eat for a week. "She's scared you're going to forget about her," my mom explained after the engagement incident. Maybe you could include her more in the wedding planning? Make her feel part of things? Include her in planning a day she'd inevitably ruin with an episode? No thanks. But I didn't say that. Just nodded and said I'd think about it. I was going to therapy by then, secretly. David had suggested it after watching my family dynamics for a year. You're allowed to have boundaries, my therapist kept saying. Compassion doesn't mean sacrificing your entire life. But she's been through so much trauma. So have you. Different trauma, but trauma nonetheless. I'd never thought about it that way. That living with Emma's episodes for 13 years might have been traumatic for me too. That watching every important moment in my life get derailed might have left marks. That I might need healing too. But Emma's trauma was worse, more dramatic, more obvious. Mine was just disappointment. Over and over and over, which didn't seem like enough to complain about. David proposed on a quiet Sunday morning. At home, just us, perfect and peaceful. I said yes, obviously. I was so happy. But even in that moment, I was thinking, don't post anything on social media yet. Emma will see it and have an episode. I was managing Emma's emotions during my own proposal. That's when I knew something had to change. I just didn't know what yet. Planning a wedding should be fun, right? Wrong. David and I wanted something small, intimate, maybe 40 people max. Just close family and friends. Nothing fancy. Ceremony at this cute little venue downtown. Dinner after, done by 9 p.m. Simple, peaceful, perfect. But the moment I started planning, my brain went straight to Emma. What would trigger her? The crowd? The attention? The fact that it was my day? I found myself Googling wedding venues, quiet spaces, and how to accommodate anxiety at weddings. I was planning my wedding around someone else's mental health issues. Maybe we should have a backup plan, I told David, in case Emma has an episode during the ceremony. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Kate, it's our wedding, not Emma crisis management. But what if nothing? It's one day. One day that's supposed to be about us. He was right. I knew he was right. But 13 years of managing Emma's emotions doesn't just turn off because you're getting married. My mom called a few days later. So exciting about the wedding. Emma's already talking about what she wants to wear as a bridesmaid. Bridesmaid? I hadn't even asked her to be a bridesmaid. Just assumed she would be, I guess, because that's what sisters do. Actually, Mom, I'm keeping the wedding party really small. Just my friend Jess as maid of honor. Silence. But Emma's your sister. I know, but she's been looking forward to being in your wedding since you got engaged. She's been researching dresses. Of course she had. Emma always threw herself into my big moments right before ruining them. I haven't decided on the wedding party yet, I lied. Still figuring things out. Well, Emma should definitely be included. She's family. After we hung up, I sat in my car for 20 minutes just thinking. Every wedding I'd ever been to, there was always that moment. You know the one. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. I kept picturing Emma having a breakdown during that silence. Hyperventilating. Someone having to escort her out while everyone stared. My wedding becoming about Emma's trauma. Again, David found me researching small wedding venues with private rooms for emergencies. Kate, what are you doing? Just being prepared. For what? Your sister's mental breakdown at our wedding? When he said it like that, it sounded horrible, but also accurate. She can't help it, David. She has triggers. I know she has triggers. But why do we have to plan our entire wedding around them? I didn't have an answer for that. The breaking point was my bridal shower. My maid of honor, Jess, organized it. Small thing, just my closest friends and some family, held at my aunt's house. Emma seemed okay beforehand. Quiet, but okay. She even helped my mom pick out decorations. Everything was going fine. We were playing that stupid game where you guess the bride's age in different photos. Everyone was laughing, having a good time. Then someone showed a photo of me at 16. My sweet 16 party. The one that got cut short because of Emma's episode. Oh, I remember that party, my cousin Lisa said. Wasn't there some drama that night? Emma went completely white. Everyone was having fun until Lisa started. Don't, I said quickly. It's fine. But Emma was already spiraling. That look in her eyes, the one that meant we were about to have a situation. I ruined Kate's party, she whispered. I ruin everything. Emma, no, that's not. I'm going to ruin her wedding too. I always ruin everything important. She started hyperventilating. Full-scale panic attack right there in my aunt's living room. My bridal shower stopped. Everyone gathered around Emma. My mom went into crisis mode. Someone called Emma's therapist. I sat on the couch watching my friends look uncomfortable and confused while my family managed Emma's breakdown. We should probably take her to the hospital, my mom said, just to be safe. I'll drive, my dad offered. I'll come too, my aunt said. Everyone was leaving. My bridal shower was over so Emma could get medical attention for a panic attack triggered by someone mentioning her last episode. My friends started making excuses and leaving. Jess stayed, but I could tell she was frustrated. Kate, this can't happen at your wedding, she said quietly. You know that, right? I knew that. Emma needs help, professional help. But that doesn't mean your wedding day has to be about managing her mental health. I spent that night in the hospital waiting room. Again. On what was supposed to be a fun day celebrating my upcoming marriage. Emma was sedated and stable by midnight. I drove home alone. David was waiting up for me. How was the shower? He asked. I I started crying, not gentle tears, ugly, frustrated, exhausted crying. Emma had an episode, spent the night at the hospital. My bridal shower turned into a medical emergency. David held me while I cried, didn't say anything, just let me fall apart. This is going to happen at our wedding, I finally said. You know it is. Something will trigger her and it'll become about Emma again. So what do you want to do? I looked at him. Sweet, patient David who'd watched Emma derail every important moment for 2 years. I want one day, just one day that isn't about managing Emma's trauma. Then have it. But she's my sister. She's your adopted sister who makes every important moment about herself, intentionally or not. He was right. I hated that he was right, but he was. What if we just didn't invite her? The words came out before I could stop them. We could say we're keeping it really small, immediate family only. She'd understand. Even as I said it, I knew Emma wouldn't understand. She'd be devastated. It's your wedding, Kate. You get to decide who's there. I spent the next week making lists. People who brought me joy, people I wanted to share the day with, people who wouldn't need crisis management. Emma wasn't on any of those lists. She was on the people who will need emotional support list, the people who might have medical emergencies list, the people who will make this about their trauma list. When I told my parents we were keeping it to 40 people, they didn't question the guest list specifics. Just close family and friends, I said. Very intimate. My mom assumed Emma was included. I didn't correct her. 3 weeks before the wedding, I finalized the guest list. Emma's name wasn't on it. I told myself it was just one day where I didn't have to manage anyone else's emotions. One day that got to be about me and David. I deserved that, right? My wedding day was perfect. I know that sounds awful given everything that happened after, but it was. Absolutely perfect. Small ceremony at this little venue downtown, 43 people. Everyone I actually wanted there. No crisis management, no backup plans, no one hyperventilating in the corner. Just me and David and people who were genuinely happy for us. I felt light. That's the only way to describe it. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally exhaled. My friend Jess said I looked the most relaxed she'd ever seen me. You're glowing, my aunt told me. This is what happiness looks like. She was right. For one day, I got to be happy without managing someone else's emotions. David and I danced to our song, had actual conversations with our guests, took photos where everyone was smiling, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. No ambulances, no hospital visits, no one having flashbacks during the ceremony, just a normal, beautiful wedding. We stayed off our phones all day, hired a photographer, asked guests not to post anything until after the reception, wanted to be present, best decision we ever made, also the worst, because at 9:47 p.m., while David and I were having our last dance, Emma was discovering our wedding through Facebook photos. My college friend posted a picture of me and David cutting the cake. Tagged me. Finally, so perfect, beautiful bride. Emma saw it. Called my mom sobbing. Kate got married and didn't invite me. I didn't know any of this yet. I was busy being happy. We got back to our hotel room around 11 p.m., exhausted but glowing. David ordered room service. I was looking through some of the photos on the photographer's camera. Best day ever, I said. David was smiling at me. No regrets? None. My phone had been off all day. I turned it on to call my parents, thank them for everything. 17 missed calls, 43 text messages, all from my mom. Kate, call me immediately. Emma knows about the wedding. She's devastated. How could you do this? Call me. Now. My perfect day crashed into reality. David saw my face. What's wrong? Emma knows. My phone started ringing. My mom. Kate Elizabeth, what have you done? Full name. Never good. Hi, Mom? Don't you dare. Hi, Mom me. Emma is in my kitchen having a complete breakdown because she found out through Facebook that her sister got married without inviting her. My stomach dropped. Mom, I can explain. Explain how you excluded your sister from your wedding, your sister who's been part of this family for 13 years? I could hear Emma crying in the background, loud, gasping sobs. It was a small ceremony? 40 people, Kate. I counted the photos. 40 people and not one of them was Emma. How did she know it was 40 people? You invited your college roommate who you haven't spoken to in 2 years, but not your sister. Emma's not my... I stopped myself. But too late. Emma's not your what? Silence. Say it, Kate. Emma's not your what? She's not my sister, I whispered. The words hung there, true and horrible, and something I could never take back. She's been your sister since she was 12 years old. She's been my parents' daughter since she was 12. That's different. My mom started crying. I can't believe you just said that. Mom, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're selfish, you're cruel, and you've broken Emma's heart. She hung up. David was staring at me. Jesus, Kate. What? She's not my sister? She's not. Not really. She's a traumatized kid my parents adopted who's made every important moment of my life about her mental health issues. That's pretty harsh, but true. He didn't argue with that. My phone kept buzzing. Texts from extended family who'd seen the Facebook photos. Cousin Sarah, beautiful wedding. Wait, where was Emma? Uncle Mike. Congrats. Emma must be so proud to have you as a sister. Aunt Linda. Gorgeous ceremony. Emma looks different in these photos. Oh wait, that's not Emma. Where was she? Each message felt like a punch to the stomach. Then the angry ones started. Cousin Lisa. Did you really not invite Emma to your wedding? Uncle Jim. That's pretty messed up, Kate. Emma's been part of our family for over a decade. Aunt Carol. Disappointed in you. Family is family. My dad texted around midnight. Your mother is beside herself. Emma cried herself sick. We're taking her to the emergency room. The emergency room, on my wedding night. I have to go, I told David. Where? Hospital. Emma's having a crisis. Kate, it's our wedding night. I know, but no, we're not doing this. We're not spending our wedding night managing Emma's breakdown about not being invited to cause a breakdown. He was right, but Emma was in the hospital. Because of me. Because I wanted one day without her drama, and now she was having the biggest drama of all. She's in the emergency room, David. She's in the emergency room because she found out you got married through social media, not because she's actually in medical danger. You don't know that. I know Emma. This is what she does. Crisis whenever something isn't about her. That was harsh, but also not wrong. I didn't go to the hospital, stayed in our hotel room, ordered more room service, tried to pretend it was still a perfect day, but I kept thinking about Emma crying in my mom's kitchen, Emma realizing she wasn't important enough to invite, Emma understanding that her adopted sister didn't actually consider her family. I felt like a monster, but also relieved. One perfect day without managing Emma's emotions. Was that worth her being in the hospital? I still don't know. My parents didn't speak to me for 3 days after the wedding. When my dad finally called, his voice was cold. Emma's therapist had to increase her sessions to twice a week. She's regressing badly. Dad, she keeps saying she's not really part of our family, that if her own sister doesn't want her at her wedding, she must not belong anywhere. Guilt hit me like a truck. She asked if we're going to unadopt her now that you've made it clear she's not really our daughter. I never said, you didn't invite her to your wedding, Kate. You invited 42 other people, but not the girl who's called you sister for 13 years. She would have had an episode. So what? So what if she had an episode? That's what family does. We deal with each other's problems. I've been dealing with her problems my entire adult life. And now you don't have to anymore. Congratulations. You got your perfect day. He hung up. That hurt more than my mom's anger. My dad never got mad. Never raised his voice. Never hung up on me. Emma wrote me a letter. My mom forwarded it. Dear Kate, I don't understand what I did wrong. I thought you loved me. I thought I was your sister. I've spent 13 years trying to be good enough for this family, and I guess I failed. I'm sorry I ruined your sweet 16. I'm sorry I had episodes during your graduations. I'm sorry I exist in a way that makes you uncomfortable. I won't bother you anymore. You don't have to pretend to care about me. I understand now that I was never really part of your family. I was just charity. I hope your marriage is everything you wanted without me there to ruin it. Emma. I read it 5 times, then I threw up. That letter from Emma destroyed me. I mean, completely destroyed me. I read it over and over until the words blurred. I was just charity. That line kept hitting me like a slap. Was that really how I'd made her feel? David found me crying on our bathroom floor at 2 a.m., still in my pajamas, holding that letter. Kate, you need to stop torturing yourself. She thinks she was charity. She's manipulating you. That whole letter is designed to make you feel guilty. What if she's right, though? What if I never really accepted her as family? David sat down on the floor next to me. Can I ask you something? Yeah. In 13 years, how many of your important moments has Emma been able to attend without having a crisis? I thought about it. Really thought. None. None. But that's not her fault. I'm not saying it's her fault, but Kate, you've spent half your life managing her mental health. When do you get to live yours? I started therapy the next week, not couples therapy, just me, because I was drowning in guilt and couldn't tell if I was a monster or finally standing up for myself. Dr. Martinez was this tiny woman with the most direct questions I'd ever heard. Tell me about your relationship with Emma. I launched into the whole story, her trauma, her episodes, how I'd tried to be understanding. When did you start feeling responsible for Emma's emotional state? I mean, she's been through so much. That's not what I asked. I thought about it. Probably when I was like 15. After a few of her episodes, I started thinking about what might trigger her before family events. At 15, you were managing a trauma survivor's mental health? Someone had to? Did they? That question sat with me for weeks. Someone had to. That's what I'd always believed. Emma needed extra care, extra consideration, extra everything. And I was the sister. It was my job. But was it really? Emma has therapists, Dr. Martinez pointed out. Professional support. Why did you feel you needed to manage her responses to normal family activities? Because if I didn't, she'd have episodes. And if she had episodes, everyone would be upset. The event would be ruined. So you took responsibility for preventing that. Yeah. At age 15. When she put it like that, it sounded insane. We talked about trauma responses, Emma's and mine. You've been hypervigilant about managing someone else's emotional state for over a decade. That's a trauma response too. I'd never thought about it that way. That constantly managing Emma's triggers might have been traumatic for me. What would have happened if you'd just let Emma have her episodes without managing them? She would have suffered. And, I don't know. My parents would have handled it, I guess. Right. The adults would have handled the child's mental health crisis. Holy shit. You've been acting as Emma's emotional caretaker since you were a teenager. That's not a sibling relationship, that's parentification. Parentification. Great, another trauma term for my collection, but it made sense. I'd been managing Emma's emotional needs like a parent, not a sister. What do you think would happen if you stopped? Emma would be devastated. Emma is already devastated. What else? I thought about it. My parents would be angry. And Emma would have to learn to manage her own responses? Possibly. 3 months after the wedding, my mom called. First time since the hospital night. Emma wants to talk to you. My heart started racing. Is she okay? She's processing. Her therapist thinks it might help for you two to talk directly. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. Emma looked tiny across from me, dark circles under her eyes. I wrote you a really awful letter, she said. It wasn't awful. It was honest. I was trying to hurt you. I nodded. Did it work? She almost smiled. Yeah. We sat in silence for a minute. I didn't invite you because I was scared you'd have an episode during the ceremony, I said. Emma flinched. I know. And I was tired of managing your mental health at my own events. I know that too. I'm sorry I made you feel like charity. Emma stirred her coffee. My therapist says I use my trauma to control family situations. That surprised me. What do you mean? Like, if I have an episode, everyone has to focus on me, even when it's supposed to be about you. Holy shit. Emma was more self-aware than I'd given her credit for. I don't do it on purpose, she continued, but the effect is the same. Emma, your wedding would have been about me if I'd been there. Something would have triggered me, and everyone would have had to take care of me instead of celebrating you. She was crying now. I hate that about myself. I reached across and grabbed her hand. You can't help your triggers, but I can work on managing them better. Instead of expecting everyone else to manage them for me, we both cried then, in a crowded coffee shop, probably looked insane. I want to be at your next big thing, Emma said, but I want to be there as support, not as someone who needs support. What if you have an episode? Then I'll leave, before it becomes about me. I squeezed her hand. I'd like that. Really? Really. It's been 6 months since that conversation. Emma and I talk maybe once a week now, not every day like before. Not crisis calls, just sister calls. She's still in therapy, working on something called distress tolerance. Learning to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of having episodes. It's slow going, but she's trying. My parents and I are still working things out. They understand better now why I felt overwhelmed. But they're also hurt that I excluded Emma so completely. You could have talked to us, my mom said. We could have made a plan. She's right. I could have. Instead, I just didn't invite Emma and hoped no one would notice. That was cowardly. But I also don't regret having one day that was just about me and David. Does that make me selfish? Probably. Do I care? Less than I used to. Emma sent me a text last week. Saw your wedding photos on Mom's Facebook. You looked beautiful. I'm sorry I wasn't ready to be the sister you deserved at your wedding, but I'm working on being ready for the next one. The next one. Like she assumes there will be more big moments and she'll be there for them. Maybe she will be, maybe she won't, but it's not my job to manage that anymore. It's hers, and maybe that's the most loving thing I can do for both of us. Stop managing her emotions and let her learn to manage them herself, even if it means some events get ruined, even if people think I'm selfish, even if it takes years for her to figure it out. I'm done being Emma's emotional caretaker. I'm ready to just be her sister, whatever that looks like.